Warning. The following episode contains... What? This is impossible. 0 spoilers. Could this be the best day of my life? Oh, damn it. Not so fast. I want to play a game. The rules of the game are simple. Read these promos. Fine. Could you at least cut the music? Nope. Ugh. A C-Bus top pick for Best Hidden Gem. It's All Been Done Radio Hour returns to Mad Lab Theater in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday, June 8th at 5 p.m. It's been a rough year for the crew of the Starship Thrifty, and their universe journeys have been fractured. But in June, we bring Season 4 to a close with a big episode featuring all the leads for the first time since the season began. Will they find their way back to one another? And will their mission ever be the same? Tickets available at madlab.net/tickets. And find more details at itsallbeendoneradiohour.com. Also, a YouTube channel. See fun behind-the-scenes stuff from It's All Been Done Radio Hour, humorous weekly series, thank yous to our fans, discussions on books, network peeps just goofing around, and more. You can also listen to some of our podcasts through the channel. Go to YouTube and search It's All Been Done Presents. Check out iabdpresents.com for a direct link. And please support all our programming at patreon.com/IABD. Welcome to Marianne's Macabre Review.
Hello, and welcome to Marianne's Macabre Review. We're doing something a little bit different today. We are talking about board games. Namely, horror board games. Later on in the episode, you'll hear that we went to Kingmakers, which is a local board game house that we have. You can drink and eat and get lots of fun snacks and stuff. And when you do that, you also have these really cool game sommeliers that will help you find a game that you would like to play. And then, if you need help...
They put it in a blender and you drink it.
And then, if you... That was me glaring at Keith. And then, if you don't know how to play the game or you think you need help, the game sommeliers will sit at your table and help you with the game. We went last night for an Ovarian Cancer Alliance event that was... a portion of the sales we got would go back to the Ovarian Cancer Alliance of Ohio. So that was really nice of them. It's called Game for Good. If you have a charity out there that you might want to play board games with, then this is a good idea for you. So let's talk about, I've got Keith here, J. Keith Jackson, my husband, and myself, of course, since I've been talking already, I'm Marianne. And we're going to talk about our favorite horror board games.
Well, before we even get into that, though, did you talk yesterday about how it was similar to the things you do at conventions? Their job?
I never told anybody.
Like on mic?
Nobody on mic, any of the sommeliers, what I did.
Are you going to mention it? Or?
Oh, well, what I do, I go to conventions with a company called Twilight Creations Incorporated. They do their main game is zombies, ! We demo the games either at the booth or we run tournaments. And the tournaments could be for zombies, any of their games. They're mainly horror games. They do have some kids' games. 1 or 2. They have All Wound Up, which is a wind-up zombies one. They have Zombies Junior, which is pretty much taking their main game and making it really cutesy or kawaii.
Chibi, maybe?
Chibi. But we're here to talk about what we like. So I guess I'll start since Keith just gestured at me vaguely.
Well, the thing I would want to... I always feel tempted to like put out disclaimers and stuff like that, or try to narrow in on definitions. And it's tough for me because like horror games are like horror movies in a way, and it's hard to say what is or is not sometimes. I went to the shelf in the family room.
In our board game or
Yes.
board game library room.
Where there are a lot of board games stacked up on shelves.
Mm-hmm.
And, to refresh my memory on some of the things that I've tried before here. And I'm not super familiar with them right now. I mean, to the extent where I could, like, explain everything about them to someone who hasn't played. But I do remember... Yeah, I figured you were going to help, since that's what you do. I recall liking them, though, and enjoying them. But as I was saying, it's hard to think of them as horror necessarily, although it's certainly...
The theme is horror.
It's thematically horror. It's not like it's scary to play, but,
Keith picked out 3 games that were his, and we're going to start with the one that...
Yeah, the Miskatonic School for Girls. I think we've only played that like once or twice, right? It's been a while, but...
I played it another time, but...
It was sort of like the Dominion deck builder style thing, right?
It's a deck builder where you are trying to do something.
To build your deck.
No. You're fighting the teachers, and not dying. Because the teachers are all horror people, and you're trying to bring up your girl gang. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a very anime type game, I think.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if we had the other one or one that was similar, and I know that we demoed at one point. One that's more like the hentai themed game.
The Tachikoro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoopsie. That's actually Tanto Kuore.
It's the maids.
Right.
You're competing for maids' love. You are the owner of all these maids, and all the maids are competing for your love, and so you've got to try and win the most love from your maids.
But anyway, for the Miskatonic thing, I think they have the mechanic where you're trying to keep them going insane, isn't it? Is it
They have an insanity meter.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have the hazards as you go by. I think you're competing against other people, right? It's not cooperative.
Yes, there's... Hold on. Picking up the thing.
So, you're building a deck so that you can acquire certain types of weapons and hit points. Or, to either to heal or to enter the other players by sending them insanity points.
You send them monsters to fight, which reduce their sanity. Yeah. So not only are you building your own deck, you're help building up your opponent's deck with bad things. As a player, you represent a house of students at the school attempting to survive with their sanity intact. This is going to be a challenge, as the entire faculty consists of mind-rending creatures and insane cultists.
So I'm not sure if this is the only game I'm thinking of, but I feel like there have been other Lovecraftian type themed games where you have to avoid going insane, because I guess
that's all Lovecraft games.
Yeah. So I think that,
Keith.
I haven't really read the books, but I've heard that is what that is a reference to, certainly. But yeah, it's the thing about these deck building games. It really is about just having slight variations around the Dominion, I guess, which is the standard people usually compare the others to.
This is really cool. The artwork's really good on it, too, if you want to look at the back of it.
Right. So, I mean, that goes to what I was starting to say. It's just that the thing about all these games is really about the flavor they add to whatever they're going to do. It's the artwork. It's the humor of, like, the card descriptions and things like that. Mm-hmm. This next game is a game by Twilight Creations, Inc.
Nice.
The company that Marianne was mentioning before, that she helps with conventions and so forth. So it's The Haunting House. I was reminded of this because of a game we were playing last night, actually, which I love the format of that too. Mm-hmm. There are a couple like that. So we got that, and also Jupiter Rescue. The idea where you have a maze set up on the table, consisting of small cards that can be rearranged, and it's just sort of infinitely replayable in that sense.
So we were playing Labyrinth last night, and this is The Haunting House. Jupiter Rescue is a little bit different.
I would say that Jupiter Rescue might even be more similar to labyrinth because we can kind of push. Was that the one where no? Am I thinking of?
That's the Candy Crush one.
No, remember they were trying to figure out how to make a board to do it.
Yes.
That one time, and
that's the candy game. This is the Island of Misfit Friends. That is the one where it has the pushing and moving. It's kind of like a board game, like Candy Crush. With this one, you have trolls, like little troll dolls. And they are living on an island. You're supposed to collect a bunch of candy. So, but we have all the candies. This is, I feel like this and Haunting House are similar. The Island of Misfit Friends. Because it is you lay down the tile. You have a board and then you lay down tiles on top of it. Mm-hmm. And you move those tiles as cards in your hand. With the Island of Misfit Friends, which is not a horror game, it is just a fun tile removing game where you're trying to make combinations. Like in Candy Crush, I need 4, 3, or I need 2 of these and 1 of those, and pull those off.
Okay, so remembering that as well.
Yeah. But the Haunting House. Tell them about that, Keith. Or I can tell them about that.
It's been a while. I've got this mixed up with a couple other things in my head right now.
So you have an entrance and an exit. Oh, did you want to go?
Well, I will say that, you do have the entrance and exit. You have the various little square-shaped cards have different configurations on it. So you have a hallway with maybe one exit, one entrance on it, or an intersection, L shape, etc. You get the idea. So they're placed randomly, and you can keep rearranging them to get to various places. Obviously, to try to skip the house, but
how it plays is the first round is your random round, so you could be moved in any way, and then
what do you mean moved anyway? Like someone else can move?
No, when you pick up your cards, because you only have so many cards, it will be different ones like move 1 space, move 2 space, switch places, rotate 90 degrees. So you're rotating your tiles 90 degrees, or rotating tiles 180, and then you can also move the whole exit, which is pretty fun. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get out first, and all your friends are doing the exact same thing. The first player to get to the exit is the winner. If I see Keith is getting close to the exit, I can play that card of moving the exit, and I can move it closer to me, or just screw the whole team and move it someplace where no one is.
Yeah. So we talked about 3 different maze games already, which actually have fairly different mechanics to them and different types of strategy. I actually enjoyed the Labyrinth one, which I played for the first time last night, and that was a completely different kind of thing because it wasn't like you had like a random element of picking up cards that tell you what you can and can't do. It's just you have 1 extra tile when you're pushing all the others through, like little lanes of traffic. And I don't know. I think I got off a little too easy. And it was just, it was the luck of the draw or something. But I managed to just get, the idea is you're collecting things there happen to be on the tiles on the board, little objects or animals or probably spell elements, since you're all little wizards going around the labyrinth. And I lucked out and was able to just do it 1 per turn and win, so.
Yeah, so 5 rounds and Keith was done. But it is a game. Zach and Eve were the ones that introduced us to this game. They play it with their 3-year-old, and Zach played it a ton when he was a kid. And Eve mentioned to me, she was like, "Gosh, this somehow seems more exciting when you're playing with a 3-year-old." But it was still a really interesting game. Good concept. Yeah. I liked it a lot.
There is strategy involved. It is just of the type that I guess I'm used to thinking about in sometimes.
Yeah, because they're all little paths and mazes. Yeah.
So the way you rearrange it is by pushing through all the other tiles in a row, and it just changes the configuration of the board every time you do it.
Mm-hmm. So you can really, if you're malicious in your game intent and not playing with a 3-year-old, you could really mess up with other people. But I feel like... Well,
some of it is you have to be aware of what they're after as well, so there is that secrecy involved.
Exactly.
So. But anyway... And so we...
Is this your favorite of the...
I don't know. I don't really have a favorite or anything, usually.
These are just your general favorite horror games.
Things I thought of and things were interesting to me. This is a very simple to learn and play game, I think. A quick start, kind of fun to do. It's just a dice game. So everyone is using dice like they would a card, like a hand of cards. And you have them arranged in front of you. Yeah, 3 dice for each person. And there are communal dice in the middle and a card that represents the order of the dice that you need to have. Did I even see what the name of this was yet? I don't think I did. So this is the current number of the beast, a Twilight Creations game. It's fairly unique. I don't know if I've seen anything like this before.
So you always start out with 666 as the number of the beast.
Yeah.
And then throughout the game, everyone is dealt a hand of cards, 3, I believe. Mm-hmm. And what you can do is, in those cards, there could be...
Well, I think you have more than 3 cards. You have the 3 dice in front of you to try
maybe 5 cards. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Right, but the cards serve the purpose of creating events or actions. Either you can use a card to change the target number in the middle, which is what everyone is trying to arrange their dice to match. So you start off with 666, but you can change it to 667 or
667 is the redheaded stepchild of the beast.
Right, because that means that's impossible to get. No one can. There's no.
They're all 6-sided dice.
Yes. Or 4, 4, 4, 5. You get the idea. So
there's the neighbor of the beast.
Yeah.
There is the child of the beast, which is 333. Mm-hmm. There is just a bunch of different numbers that are mostly on a 6-sided die. The only one that isn't is the stepchild.
So there is also some communal dice in the middle, which come into play depending upon different event cards you get. You can have a card that may allow you to swap one out, trade things with your opponents, mess up their game in some way. Just
freeze the dice. Yes. Move one up, move one down.
You can shield yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's what the freeze does.
Yeah.
So with this one, I like this one also. This is I kind of know how this was created. When Todd and Carrie made this game, they didn't even have a concept of this game yet, but they were sitting on the porch listening to music, and the music was doing a countdown of all the heavy metal songs. And whenever they'd start the next song, they'd say, the current number of the beast is, and they'd give the name of, or give the number that they were on and the name of the thing. And so the unique thing about this game is each one of the cards is a heavy metal music title. Hmm. So Keith will know...
or a play on it, as you were saying. So the event cards were,
yes,
right? But not the dice numbers themselves, like neighbor and son, and those are just different plays on that.
Yes, those are not event cards. The event cards are the ones that I'm going to give you, so you can say the name of the band if you know it. Am I Evil? Yes, I am.
Yes, I fucking am.
The Flight of Icarus.
The
New Order. Desperate Times.
Okay, see, some of these are a little too generic for me to know right off.
Sympathy for the Devil.
Well, yeah, we know that one.
Push Comes to the Shove.
Don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out there screaming, it's this. How do you not know that? But
Angel of Death.
Yeah,
Matter of Time. Devil's Advocate. Forward to Death. So, I thought that was really unique, because then when they were listening to this, they said, hey, we should make a game. And
they did.
And then they did. And here we have the current number of the beast, which is one of Keith and I's favorite games, one of our go-to games that we do when we have people over. Well, I'm going to mention it. Keith.
Oh, right.
Is also... since he, by proxy, has been introduced to the Twilight Creations people, they did something really awesome, and they put him in one of the games. They have Humans 4, which is where you're playing zombies and you're trying to get the humans, instead of the zombies game where you're humans trying to get away from the zombies. Humans 4, Camp Zombie Lake, takes place in... like Camp Crystal Lake, quote unquote. Maybe not exactly that place, but the quote unquote Jason keeps making your dinner disappear since you are the zombies.
Huh.
what Keith is in it is there are characters that you can catch, and Keith is one of the camp counselors.
Well, there are cards that they have artwork for, and you have the names and faces, and so my likeness was used for one of them.
Yes. It is, and it is titled Keith.
Yeah.
So, yes, and it is not spelled incorrectly or anything. So it is
funny you
very
should mention
obvious. Keith. That's a nice segue into my card in Humans 3. I was put into it. I am a booth babe. The Humans 3 is at the Zombie Con. And so, again, you're at a zombie gaming convention. Maybe it's gaming, maybe it's just a zombie interest convention, who knows. But
Can we pause for a moment
Yeah.
and talk about the term booth babe, which I haven't thought about for a bit. It's kind of funny if you think about that's what your function was in a way.
Yeah. It's the booth babe is to pique someone's interest, to get them into the group, get them into your booth, so they would either take a picture with you or talk to you and learn more about the game. Or I do demos at the booth, or what I like for Zombies 12, the zoo, I dressed up as a zookeeper that was being attacked by monkeys. So I had a bunch of stuffed animal monkeys kind of just velcroed onto me in different areas, and had little scratch marks on my face where it looked like little monkeys had scratched me. That's the type of interactive things I like to do to help out, get people into the booth.
But you were also modestly not saying that you were attractive.
No, I am not going to say that. So there are two booth babes, and one of them is Marissa, which is Todd and Carrie's daughter. So we're both in there. However, Marissa is spelled correctly.
Well,
what I'm getting to is my name, Marianne, is spelled Maryann, nothing else.
A&N, nothing.
So, I love it. Story is Todd could never, ever, ever spell my name correctly. And we just went with the general way most people spell it. And so he would put that on all the things. Let me just say, Todd has passed away since then. And I love the card because it's just so a nice, fond memory I have of him. That the part with the zombie convention is everyone that is in the zombie creative team is in there. Todd and Carrie, their children, the people that do all the demos. It was Adam, Anthony, Paul. We're all in the game. So it's a nice thing to think about.
Yeah. That's and when you put it that way too, it does make me feel even better about being included in that eventually. One of these things. Immortalized as part of that group. So
it's really fun.
Yeah.
So for me, the zombies games are in my top 5, definitely. I can't pick one that I like more than others because they're all a tad bit different. So the zombies game is you are a bunch of humans trying to get to the helipad. There are a bunch of different ways to play it now. They have a speed version. They have a bunch of great things. The Kickstarter that they have right now, Zombies 15. Zombies, whatever dies in Vegas stays in Vegas.
All right.
They have some really cute figures that they're going to be using for the zombies with this one. Elvis, Penn and Teller, Showgirl, and Card Dealer. But anyway, Zombies is one of my top 5, I would say. I also like Betrayal on Hill House. Nope.
Sure.
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
It's a bit of foreshadowing, I think.
Yes. So, we talk about that when we're at Kingmaker quite a lot because those are people's main go-to game for their favorite horror.
I don't think I've ever heard of it, and it's surprising how many of the people you talk to had heard of it.
Yeah.
And were like, brought it up out of nowhere.
So the idea with that is there's 2 kind of sections to the game. You go in, you have you're all different characters, and you're a team. And then second act happens, and one of you becomes the betrayer. And then there are a bunch of different storylines that they've given you. As you will hear, a lot of people have said, I have played this game a ton of times. I've never had a repeat. So there are so many different iterations of the game. I've played it, and I was the betrayer. And if you know me, I do not like being the bad person. So it was really hard for me. I would prefer to have something else be part of the team. However, my favorite thing about this game is it's a story about the game that was a defect that was missed by I think it was a misprint, and then no one caught it until they were playing it. There's an underground lake, is a magical lake it's in some of the scenarios. However, it is on the second floor. So the misprint is fixed in second edition, but I just love the fact that in the first edition they were like, whoops, whoopsie. But anywho.
But it doesn't affect the gameplay. It's just funny, the idea of it being on the second floor.
It doesn't actually affect anything. It's a magical lake. It can be on the second floor if it wants to be an underground lake on the second floor. It's magic.
Yeah.
So anywho, I like that game. There is one game that I'm interested in that I heard from our conversations yesterday. It was called Mysterium. We'll hear about that one later. But what I would like to hear from all of our listeners is, what are your favorite games that you like to play? What I want to do, we have Origins Game Fair coming up here in Columbus, Ohio. And what I'd like to do is play some of these games that we have heard from our listeners that are their favorites. So, and if you are a Columbus native, come to Origins Game Fair and let's play some of your favorite games together. Otherwise, be prepared for a drastic noise change in the room ambiance, because we are at a game place and it was like an echo chamber in there. It was, people don't know how to pick up their chairs to when they're getting up or moving chairs. So it was just like screech across the floor and then screech when they sat back down. For me, it was a little chaotic, but it was still a lot of fun because once I got into the game, I was not nearly as distracted as when I was trying to record something.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keith. What did you have to say?
No, I mean, that's just obviously the hazard of recording in a public place. You're going to have to expect to add that sort of background to it.
I am Jordan Nelson. I work here at Kingmakers in Columbus, a board game parlor. I would say my favorite game, period, horror or otherwise, would be Eldritch Horror. It's a massive game, big scale. It is a game of an ancient one awakening and trying to wipe out all of the globe. So the players are working together, trying to solve the mysteries, find out how to banish this being before it awakens. Sometimes if it awakens, you have a last-ditch confrontation with it. Very dramatic, very exciting. Almost always have lost.
Oh, I was just about to ask that.
Very difficult. You played Arkham, then did you win?
Never won. So.
I think I've won once, and it's probably by bending a rule or two here and there,
Like, I will cry if I don't win, so therefore, punch the dice roll.
Mostly, I play honest and pay for it.
Yeah.
But very fun, always different, lots of different monsters, that do different things. Variety everywhere. Unexpected, you can't predict how it's going to go, period.
Yeah. Do you like Lovecraft a lot?
I do.
Do you play a lot of his games?
Well,
read his games, really?
Based on his stuff.
Yeah, stuff based on his books.
To get that game, I first bought a copy of a lot of his classics in a compilation and read through that just so I'd appreciate it more. And it was fun, recognizing things.
I did that a few years ago. I read all the Lovecraft books and was like, some of these are the best things I've ever read, and some of these I could never read again and be fine. So, that's how Lovecraft writes sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's just, when he's on, and then other times just like, what's happening?
And even when he's on, he's very slow. You can't deny that.
My favorite of his stories is the Herbert West Reanimator. I read that one over and over and over
Yeah?
again. Yeah. But do you have a favorite?
The one that comes to mind, oh snap, Dreamlands. Oh, what's the official title of that one? I can't remember now. Find that. The one where he goes through this very bizarre H.P. Lovecraft Dreamland, very bizarre world. Lots of almost Dr. Seuss diss horror, you know, where he just makes up all this crazy stuff. Maybe it's just called Dreamlands. Anyway, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello and welcome. We're back at Kingmakers. We have Jessica and Laura with us, and they're going to tell us about their favorite horror board games.
Okay, so one that I really like is called Nyctophobia. There's one person who's it, and they play the vampire, and they kind of set up the board how they want to set it up. There's suggestions in the instructions and stuff like that, but they set up obstacles and objects for people to interact with. And each character gets a token that has a shape on the top of it, because everyone who's not the vampire has blackout glasses on, so you can't see where you're going or what you're doing. And the only way to know where you're, keep track of your token is the person who's the vampire leads your hand to it, and you can feel the shape on top to know that it's yours. And the objective of the game is to go from one corner of the board to find this person who's out in the woods or whatever, and then get back to the escape vehicle.
Interesting. I like that game. I want to try and play it.
Yeah,
So
it's really
how
fun.
long are some people sitting there not able to see anything?
Depends on how fast you go. It turned out when we did it, I basically lucked out because there's some things you have you can run a certain amount of your characters each have stats, so it's you can run a certain amount of spaces. You can feel around to see if there's an object or anything in your way, but if you feel the vampire next to you, you get attacked. You can throw a noisemaker, and the vampire has to go after the noisemaker. Some characters can jump hedges or things like that. And when we played, I basically stumbled my way. The guy playing the vampire was like, you basically did the perfect game because you stumbled right to them. You only ran into me once and managed to, other people managed to make enough noise that you could get back with the victim.
Nice.
I was like, yeah.
So, how long do games normally take? How many times have you played it? Or?
We played, I think, 3 times. And it's 20 to 30 minutes.
See, that's not bad. I like those type of games.
And
Yeah,
the
me
setup's
too.
really quick. The instructions are minimal, and the setup's pretty quick. So once you get the hang of what you're doing. But if you're like my brother and his fiance, fumble fingers, knocking things over. They knock over a hedge and be like, what just happened? I'm like, guys, gentle fingers. You can't see where you're going.
Yeah. Laura, what's
funny.
your board game that you've played?
I think my favorite, I haven't played a ton of horror board games, and I'll screw up the name, Betrayal on Hill House? On the House on the Hill?
Yes.
I should have Googled it.
Yeah.
But it definitely starts with the word betrayal.
Yes.
Which, as someone that doesn't play a ton of these types of games, I think it's pretty easy to learn and you can pick it up pretty quickly, which I like that about it. And the games don't take a super long time, which I also like about it. And I think it's fun. It's easy to pick up the strategy, if you want to work with other people or if you want to do your own thing. And we were laughing earlier about the first time that I ever played it was a very early date with my boyfriend and all of his friends who all knew how to play, and I got stuck being the betrayer or the villain, and it was really intimidating because I didn't know how to play the game, but it was still a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
even if you get stuck being alone on a team against 8 other people, it's still a lot of fun.
I am always the betrayer every time I've
Yeah.
played that game. I'm like,
It's a lot harder. You really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because when you're not the betrayer, you just run away from the betrayer the whole time and don't do anything else if you don't want to.
you have goals on your cards.
Yeah.
Which either you can survive, depending on which scenario you get, you can survive, and that's your success criteria, or you actually have little things you can achieve. So.
Yeah, but there's fun characters, and I've played it a bunch of times now, and I've never had a scenario repeat itself, so there's lots of variety with it.
Yeah, and the house is always different. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Noise. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tony Maggio. I'm one of the sommeliers here at Kingmakers.
What's your favorite horror board game?
My favorite of all time is Betrayal at House on the Hill. It was, besides just being a horror game in general, it was the first game that was my gateway into more of how games work, and there's more than just, Scrabble or stuff like that.
Yeah.
A friend came to me and was like, we have this really cool game, and we played it, and it's like, there's 50 different things that could happen, and I was really interested. And then the horror element on top of it was just really awesome.
Have you been the betrayer at all when you've done it?
I've been the traitor many times. It's my favorite thing to be.
Yeah.
It really is.
Really? See, I don't like being the betrayer of the whole thing. They're my friends. I don't want to go against them. I'd rather have my more malicious friends do that,
I love it so much. Most of the time, I prefer to be the traitor because I'm introducing my games usually, and it's really easy for them all to work together if they don't know the game, instead of one person who's playing for the first time and here's a completely new set of rules. I can't walk you through them because I'm not supposed to know what you're doing.
Okay. So what are your other horror games that you like?
Yeah, so another lengthy one that I like is Eldritch Horror.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I haven't played Arkham Horror, so that's not on my list at all. But, the whole Expanse with, H.P. Lovecraft, even that whole fad, that's pretty great. I got to play my first game about a year ago, actually. And it's been on my to-get list, but I've been very, not that wanting to get it because I don't think it would actually make my table that often.
Yeah. It's longer games are always hard to get people over for, I think.
Yep.
I know I have a game limit where I'm like, if I have a coordinate game night, the games have to be half hour to an hour, because as the game host, you want to be able to float from game to game and not, be stuck down in the basement playing a 4-hour game while your friends upstairs going, what's happening?
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah. So do you have any other games that you like a lot?
Yeah, so one that a friend of mine introduced me to while I was working at summer camp, Mysterium. It's a great game. I love the whole silent ghost part of it and us trying to figure out how a person's brain works. It's really what the game is. There's the elements of you're trying to catch your person, but it's really trying to figure out how a person's thinking with their clues that you're giving you. And
that's really cool. I haven't played that one yet. Can you describe it a little bit more?
Yeah, so one person is a ghost, and they know each person's combination of killer, location, and item. And there's a whole bunch of possibilities on the table in front of all of the mediums, which are the rest of the people. And each person has to find their specifically assigned killer, location, and weapon through a whole bunch of vague clues that the ghost is going to give you. The ghost has access to a large amount of beautifully illustrated, really zany cards that make no sense.
I think I've seen this one now that you're talking about it.
If you know Dixit, it's kind of those style cards at all. And so they're going to be handing those to the mediums. The ghost is going to be handing those to the mediums. And we have to try and interpret our dreams to figure out who our killer is. Yeah, and it's cooperative. So we either all win or we all lose. And I really like that in the game.
I love a good cooperative game. That's my favorite. So, awesome. Alrighty, you got anything else?
I got one more. It's just a real light and simple game. It's Zombie Dice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Is that a Steve Jackson game?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, yeah. That's a fun one. They have an app. They used to have an app for that on my phone. If I just had time to burn, I would play that one.
Mm-hmm. And especially at Kingmakers, that's really a good one that I like to bring out for people who are looking for something really light, but with a little bit of depth of it. We have a whole bunch of push your luck games, but that's one of my favorite here.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep. The one thing that they need to do is reinforce the bottom of that zombie cup. Because whenever I played it, there's been one person that's like, shake, 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 and then the dice just fly across the room.
Yes, yeah. I think we've had to reinforce ours several times with tape or something like that.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Well, that was rude. She's leaving without saying goodbye? Oh, well. Over to you, Jimmy Jerome.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?